You are listening to Travel is Cheaper Than Divorce. This podcast is for all those who may be struggling with their spouse or their children and the relationship with them. We help give you tips and tricks by using travel as the means to be able to help your relationships with your family. I will provide those tricks and other ways to help travel with little or no cost. So let's get into it. Some of the things that I have talked about so far really have to do with money and finding money to be able to do the traveling. In some episodes I've done, I've talked about that it being comparing it to being in therapy essentially. But what if you're not even planning on therapy or anything? I don't know. You just want to get to traveling, but you just can't find the money in your budget. I want to tell you, I come from a place where, again, I've been in the financial industry for over 15 years. It feels like I've seen it all. Well, actually, if you take also some of my other experiences, it's been nearly 20 years, if not more, that I've probably been in one area of the financial industry or another. So I've seen a lot. You absolutely can find the money for traveling. I have seen over and over people put a priority on something and they make it happen. And as I showed you, as I've shown you in other episodes, it is possible on a smaller budget. You can find room in your budget for it. I'm going to give you a couple of ways to do that. One is the cash way, and one is the points and miles way. I'm gonna go with points and miles first, because this, in my opinion, is the most exciting way. Because then you can go to more destinations, further around the world, in more luxury, for pretty much less cost than you paying cash to go 2 hours away from your house. And that is to travel, pay for hotels, pay for rental cars, pay for hotels, rental cars, flights, and all these things with points or miles. I really lump them all into points when I talk about it, because miles are essentially points. They just call them miles because they're airline. And some airlines don't even call them that. They do call them points, but regardless. Because then you don't pay hardly anything in cash. I say that because there are some fees usually to redeem these. It's usually $5 to $6. It's not in the hundreds. There is, from my recollection, there's one or two airlines who do charge a $100 fee to do that, but you don't want to use that airline unless you're going like halfway around the world or whatever. But that is the most exciting, and it is the way to travel the furthest and make your dollar stretch the farthest, is by doing points and miles. Can you afford? Let's see, if we'd say a $10 fee and you have 6 people in your family, including yourself. That's my family, by the way. We have 4 kids. $60. $60 to fly wherever. I don't know, pick a destination. I mean that, literally. It doesn't matter when you're redeeming points. You can go from, let's take my nearest international airport again, Vegas. We take that and we say, I want to go from Vegas to Auckland, New Zealand. Or I want to go from Vegas to Denver, or Vegas to LA. All of those cost $10. $10 in cash, at least. And then you have to think about miles, how much miles you're spending. This is not for this podcast particularly. That's different. That's my business side. But you want to be careful how you spend those points. You don't want to just throw them around, because then you're not going to get the value for them. It's just like cash. You don't want to spend $200 on a hotel that sucks. You want to be aware of where you're spending those miles and when the best time to spend them in. But that, if you can't afford $60 in your budget to go fly somewhere, because most hotels, when you redeem points, don't charge you anything. So there you go, $0 there and $60 for the flight. Maybe $120 if we got to do round trip, right? If you can't find $120 in your budget when using points and miles, then you're pretty far off from $120 is one night at a hotel, generally speaking. So I know you can. But that's the points and miles game. That does take some time to build. Not a lot of time. People think it's going to take years. It doesn't take years, ladies and gentlemen. It takes literally less than 6 months a lot of the times. Guys, this is like the most exciting thing. I really love this part of traveling. I love the part, absolutely love the part of going all these places for practically no cost. It's so much fun. So much fun. I've been to so many places I could never have afforded with cash because of it. And in fact, in the next couple weeks, I'm going to be, and I haven't put this out yet, but you're going to hear about it now, but I'm going to be putting out an offer for people to join me in my hometown where I sit down and over a couple of days, I will teach you the entire system, nuts and bolts, all the questions you want. But it's not just that. It's not just a seminar. It's a time for me to show you all these cool areas that are around me. It's a retreat to go out and also travel at the same time. To teach and to travel, teach and to travel, teach and to experience things. It's going to be really fun. I'm limiting it to 5 people just so it's more intimate. Maybe 6. Haven't quite decided yet. You catch it up later, but I want people to be able to understand this so they can do it. And I want them to have fun while doing it. I don't want to just sit there and lecture. But anyway, I would digress off of that point. Points and miles are a way to make that stretch further. Now, if you're not there yet, or it's not possible because of credit score and other things, then what about cash? Okay, let's talk about that. Again, if it's important to you, you will make it happen. I had somebody in my family recently come to me, actually, because I've been doing this for so long. You got to understand, my family's full of a lot of prideful people. And it's not only just that. It's hard to talk to somebody who grew up about money when you're adults, right? Money is a difficult topic for you to broach with somebody, especially if you grew up with them. But I actually finally had one of my relatives, because I don't ever talk to my relatives about it. I figure they can come to me if they have questions, and they did finally. But they came and broached me about the subject about how they seem to earn all this money, but it all seems to go away even though they earn all this money. They don't need all that money, and so on and so forth. So I gave them a step-by-step on how to figure out how to find more money in your budget. And that's what I'm going to go with you today. She's only on step 1 still. It's been kind of early in this for them. But the step 1 to find money in your budget is to track your budget. First of all, let me back up for a second. I hate the word budget. I hate it. Budget has such a negative connotation to it. People hear the word budget and they run for the hills, as if I told them to, I don't know, pick something negative. I can't think of something right now, but they run for the hills. Run! He talked about budgeting. I'm not talking about budgeting. I'm talking about finding money in your bank account then, if you want. I don't care. The budget's just the more accepted word. But the first thing you need to do, the very first step, is to track your money. I tell you, more than 50%, without having the statistic in front of me, just by my experience again, more than 50% of the people in this country, and I think it's actually more above 75, but let's just say 50% of the people don't even know where their money goes. They just spend it. Now, that's part of it, is that we went from a generation of writing checks where you had to track literally everything, to a nation where we just swipe. Nobody knows where their money goes. So step 1 on any journey, find out where your friggin' money goes, guys. That's why if you tell me you don't have enough money to travel and it's not in your budget, I call bullshit. Because you can. You just don't know where the leak is. And that's the analogy, really. If you have a bathtub and it's full of water and it's leaking on your ceiling, do you just sit there and look at it and go, wow, that sucks? I wonder where that leak's coming from. And I obviously don't know where it's coming from, and it's not. Maybe it's a bathtub, maybe it's a shower. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just gonna move on. I can't really fix it now. Bull. What are you gonna do when you find that leak? You're gonna friggin' plug it. If you don't know where the leak is, you can't fill the. So number one, the same thing I told this family member. Track your expenses for a month or 2, possibly 3 if you're really motivated. What is that going to do? It's going to tell you where the leak is. Holy crap, I spend that much on eating out. And you know what? A lot of people don't track it. Sometimes it's just laziness. Sometimes it's just because they really don't want to know where they put their money because it might envelop some sort of change. By the way, this isn't hard to do. There are so many programs out there, a lot of them that are free, that you just connect your bank account and your credit cards, keeping in mind that between my spouse and I, we have probably about 35 credit cards. We don't use them all, but we have that many to track at least. And we have our bank accounts and a bunch of other kids' accounts and such. There are a lot of different softwares out there that can just track it for you, and a lot of them are free, and they just import all of your transactions in. All you have to do is label them. Literally takes you, maybe if you do it daily, maybe 5 minutes. I do it monthly, and it probably takes me 30 minutes. Yeah, I still track my money. It drives me insane if I see a leak somewhere, so I always like to plug those leaks. When you find those leaks, and I say the word leak, I mean like places in your budget where you know you're spending way too much money, like dining out. Like, drinks on a Saturday and Sunday, whatever. Maybe you're spending too much money on, I'm trying to think of other streaming services. Oh, that's a big one. Back in the day, people didn't like to pay $80 a month for cable. Now people are spending $100 a month on streaming. Does that make a lot of sense to you? Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Maybe there is a subscription you subscribed to 5 months ago you don't even use and you forgot about it. Track it. Plug the leaks. You track it, you plug the leaks. That might be enough into itself to have enough money for travel. You take those same things and you siphon them off. What I mean by siphon off, you get a friggin' savings account, and all of the money that you are saving because you canceled this or stopped spending this, you send over to that savings account and you do not touch it. That's your travel account. You don't touch it. Don't touch it. But I really want to go to McDonald's with my kids this day. Really? You rather go to McDonald's with your kids than take them on a trip? Come on. Make priorities in your life. What's important here? Now, I know that I've said in a lot of episodes that it's important to get out with your family. Yes. And I also told you there's some free things you do. It doesn't boggle me. I actually understand where it comes from. I shouldn't say it boggles me. It actually does make sense where it comes from, where people don't track their expenses and they don't plug the leaks. I'm just telling you that without spending more money, you can travel. This is on the cash side, of course. I'm not talking about the points and miles side. I already went on that one. On the cash side, you can travel and have the money to travel without spending any more than you're spending now. You're just plugging leaks and redirecting money. That's it. It's just so simple that way. Again, this could take some time because I say you want to travel, you want to track your expenses over a 2-month period because maybe 1 month you have an unusual expense that, that's out there. And it averages out over 2 months or averages out over 3 if you're motivated enough and want to go 3 months. I do it every month. I've done it every month for 4 or 5 months. 4 or 5 months, 4 or 5 years, pardon me. I've been tracking my expenses literally every month. Has it been that short of a time? It might be even, maybe way longer than that. I can't remember. I've been tracking it for a very long time. I've been tracking it a very long time. And it really helps me and my wife plug holes because she doesn't want to look at it monthly, which I don't blame her. She's not a numbers person. She's way right-brained. I'm way left. So I like the numbers and she doesn't care. But we look at it often enough to say, hey, this is where we're spending. We need to plug a leak. Or maybe, as I alluded to, I'm not sure if it was in this episode or another one, but that maybe you just don't take your kids to ballet, violin lessons, soccer, Uh, what else? Dance. Okay, I don't want to go off on a rant. My heavens, dance is really expensive for little kids. I just don't get that personally. But anyways, I'll back off of that for a second. Maybe you only take them to one of those 4 or 5 things and take all that money and put it towards travel. Do you really need your little princess to go to all of those things? I mean, seriously. Again, I don't want to tell you how to parent. That's not my job here. I'm trying to tell you my experience, and I want you to know that you can find room in your budget if you want to pay for it with cash. If you want to do points and miles, that's separate. And again, I'm doing very soon, I'm going to put together a retreat to teach all that and to have some fun with some of you out there. Now, some other episodes I've been talking about going and traveling now with your family, now with your spouse. Get out and do it. I would love everybody who's listening to me. I would love to see pictures or for you to tell me stories about how it's helped you. And maybe it hasn't yet. Maybe you just want to tell me a memory that you built. I want to know that I'm reaching you. I want to know that I'm helping you. I love pictures. They're great, or just memories, or both. I would love to see these guys. So here's my big takeaway here. I want you, even if you do have money for traveling, this is just a fundamental way of doing things. Track your expenses. Track them. Understand where your money's going. That's the big takeaway here. Even if you're doing points and miles instead of using cash, I do points and miles, obviously. That's the whole thing, right? Traveling in luxury for little or no cost. That's the thing. But I still track my expenses every month because it has very little to do with travel for me. It's a budget thing, just like travel budget is. My takeaway to you today, if anything else, track your expenses. Know where your money's going and plug the leaks. Plug them. And then optionally, of course, I would love to see what you guys have been doing travel-wise. Man, I would love to see it. I want to know also if you have seen, at least in your family's life, in your spouse, your marriage or whatever, improvement because of this. I would love to hear those too. And that ultimately is what I'm doing this podcast for. I want you to know what has helped my spouse, my family, and I want it to help yours. You have been listening to Travel is Cheaper Than Divorce with me, your host, David Packer. Please connect with us on our YouTube channel at Travel Point Pros. There you will learn many tips and tricks on how to use points and miles to travel in luxury for little to no cost. Remember to like and subscribe and comment on any of the videos that you find helpful to you. Thank you for listening.